we all know that if we're targeting everyone, we target no one because we cannot be appealing to everyone. There's a song, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Exactly. Like we're not going to be able to fit into all of those different avenues, especially when you're in marketing. You want to have those marketing dollars going towards a specific niche or avatar so that it can be more effective. That's why identifying the avatar is very important before you start spending a lot of time, money, energy trying to put a brand out there and a actionable item on your Facebook or on marketing in general, because that's going to, like Trina was talking about, which was great, it's going to show you the progress instead of you not having much progress and then going, I don't want to post on Facebook anymore. It's tiring. And that's how all of us do, right? Like if something's not working well, we stop doing it. And so if we can see that there is progress in that direction, then we're going to do more of it. So we want to create that momentum. And the easiest way to do that is to be able to target a specific type of person or area. And we'll go through that now. So let me share my screen with you.
Okay, instead of just going on your Facebook or any of your social medias and saying, "Hi, I'm a real estate agent. Call me when you're ready to buy or sell your home," right? That's so blanket that just targets absolutely nobody. But if you specifically go on there and say, "Are you a veteran? Did you know that you can actually purchase a home with zero money down? Do you not have money for a big down payment? Are you a veteran? Did you know that you can purchase a home with no money down?" Right? Like, do you see how much more specific that is? Right? Or, "Hi, I'm Heather. I help people moving from California to Dallas Fort Worth, in one easy process that's less expensive, less stressful, and I can get you in, before the start of your, work date, and I can get your kids in school, at the best schools on time." I'm pulling that out of my rear end. But do you see how that is so much more specific rather than, "Hey, I just got my real estate license. Call me." Do you see how you're targeting someone? You're identifying their problems or their needs, and you're providing a solution. So that's what we're talking about being specific. All right, now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty.
So we have a full course that's just on business planning. So this is going to be one section of it. And when we go through it, it's basically all of your prospecting. So anytime you are looking to prospect to a person, you want to refer back. Does it fit in this specifics that you're going to put onto this document? Does it match the person? Because you're going to get tons of phone calls and, sponsor this event and, do this advertising and be a Zillow agent and all of this stuff. Does it fit or target this specific person that is your ideal avatar? Is going to be your first question. So here you're going to go through and you're going to actually list out all the areas that your ideal avatar would be shopping, living, values, what they do as far as hobbies go. So in this first section, you're going to just start off with location, because location is very important. When you're looking to drive from showing to showing, are you going to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours? Are you going to drive no more than an hour? So you want to identify the location of your ideal avatar and spend time in that area. And with that, you can identify places that they hang out with as long as you know all of these items about them. So location is going to be number one. I would definitely look at location as a kind of to the sort of where you're at. Don't have location too far from where you're at, but also location should be fit with the following items as well. So you wouldn't be saying, hey, I want to be, for me, it would be North San Antonio. It is a more affluent area. If I'm targeting, first time home buyers in an owner finance, I would be going to the south side of San Antonio, right? So you kind of have to identify who your person is, but you want to stay close to where you're at or where you can consistently be. Demographics. Look at, what is the age of your ideal avatar? What is the person, right? Or are they college graduates? Are they business owners? Who are they? What demographic do they fit into? Generally speaking. And there may be a couple different demographics that kind of fit together. If you're targeting, let's say, business owners, right? They might be business owners in different areas of business, or they could just be consultants, attorneys, doctors. You could have it very specific like that. Now, the more specific you get, the better, the more progress that's measurable, but you don't want to niche down too much. Why do I say that? What is too much? I would not go after, first year doctors, and that's all you do is first year doctors, unless you have a in with a hospital that hires doctors consistently. Right now, if that's you, then you know what? I just deal with first year doctors. But if you're in an area where you don't know a person that can get you in like that, then I would definitely go more with a general area of that demographic. So if it's medical professionals, or if it's military, if it's teachers, there's so many different areas, but keep that box pretty general when it comes to teachers, not just first grade teachers. So when you want to do income bracket, when you do the income bracket, you're talking about the median home income. So what is the household income between the people? If you're targeting single moms, then that's going to be a one income. But if you're targeting, let's say, first time home buyers, you would say that the majority of them would consist of two people, maybe one on the loan application, but usually there are two makers. So with that being said, what is the total income for that person that you're targeting? So if you're targeting teachers and the average income for a teacher is $50,000, and let's say that a teacher is usually married to who? Police officer, firefighter, sometimes a business owner. But typically speaking, they probably have about that $50,000 to $80,000 income as well. So the median home price, or the median income price, would be somewhere between 100 and 120,000, if that's your demographic, if they're both full time. Now, what you want to learn is, what can $100,000 to $120,000 income buy you? Because if they can't buy in that area that you're servicing, then that's not your person, because you're going to deal with a lot of people who will come to you asking for your help or your service, and they cannot afford it. So you want to look into, okay, if the area that I, am closest to, the median home price is 450,000, then who can afford 400 or 450,000? And who do I have a passion for that can afford that? Okay. Now, as far as when you go to the price range of the home, again, all of those areas here are intertwined together. So if you start out your prospecting and you start creating your ideal avatar, you may have to alter each of these areas a little bit as you learn more about that avatar. And you might go, you know what? they can't afford this area. I need to, hang out 30 minutes from my house. Or, you know what, the income bracket that I'm looking for, they don't live at 400,000, they live at 1.5. I need to go, 25 minutes away from my house on this other direction and hang out over there. It's going to depend on what you choose to work with. I know that some of y'all here in the group want to work with first-time home buyers. Others want to work in luxury. Others want to work just as a general second-time home buyer slash seller. So it depends on what you're trying to target, but I definitely would say that these are going to change a little bit. So if you first say that, the income bracket is 100 to 120, and you go, well, they can't afford the $800,000 house that I want to sell them based on my goals, based on the commission that's going to be made on that $800,000 house, then who can afford those $800,000 houses? And you look at what is the median household income that is required to buy an $800,000 house. Okay, then who has that income? Right? Is that a doctor? Is that a business owner? Is that an attorney? Is that a healthcare professional just in general? Because maybe a nurse is married to a doctor or a nurse is married to another nurse. Who is that person? Okay. Now, as far as you going into the number of homes that they have bought or sold, that's also going to be if they are that higher price point. Maybe they've already sold maybe 2 houses already, 3 houses. If you're working with seniors, they may have sold a lot more and they might have really just lived somewhere twice, right? Like 30 years here and 30 years there, and they're a lifer. So it kind of depends on what you're looking at as far as that goes. Now, list 3 to 5 places that they hang out. If you're looking for the luxury end, you're going to go to high-end restaurants, bars, things like that. You're going to meet a lot of people at a high-end restaurant, and you're going to go sit at the bar, right? Because you can't really talk to people at their table. So you go and you talk to people around that area that's waiting for their table, or that is, sitting at the bar because their wife is, with friends tonight, whatever it is that you're going to meet in an affluent area. I love coffee shops. Coffee shops are great places to meet people, and you want to go to that affluent area that you're working in. What is the most favorite coffee place of that demographic? Like, do they drink Starbucks? Do they drink more like a small boutique barista that's around the corner? Do they go and whatever it may be, right? So those are the things that you're going to look into and learn more about that avatar. You can also go to events that they would go to. Galas are great events. So you want to go to galas, you want to go to charity events, go meet people of that caliber at that type of event. And you can do it around something that you have an interest, right? If you're doing a charity event and you love animals, and the Humane Society is doing one, then fantastic. If it's about a cancer society or Make-A-Wish Foundation or whatever it may be, you want to go mix and mingle in those rooms. If you are looking at a specific niche as far as a very high end, maybe you join a country club where those people are at. Maybe you learn golf. Maybe you learn tennis, whatever it takes. Those are the things that you'll have to do to step into those demographics. If you're talking about, let's say, veterans and VA, and you're not a veteran, you can sell to veterans all day long if you're not a veteran, but you got to learn something about them, right? You've got to know what bases are in your areas, how long they are usually in the service, how many hours they need cumulative to be able to get a VA loan. What are the advantages of a VA loan? how long they have to live there, how many houses they can buy, what are the other assistance programs that are offered to veterans, right? So, like, for instance, renters, they will pay for accommodations for disabled veterans, but they will not pay for someone you're purchasing a home. So just knowing more about that demographic to be able to relate to them and for them to find you knowledgeable in that area. Mm-hmm.
I love where you're going with this. So I would just, I want to just add basically like the purpose for, you sharing with us, really nailing down the demographic, right? What's their situation? What's their lifestyle? Where do they hang out? Where can you find them? How can you strike up a conversation that would be completely relatable to who they are and their situation and their lifestyle? So that when you present marketing and you present a message, like it's in their language, right? Like, let's just say, for instance, you put yourself in a crowded room and it's very international, and there are multiple languages being spoken from around the world. And then you get up on stage and you speak to all, let's just say, the English speaking people. Okay. You're specifically targeting people that are in America that can, understand what you're talking about and can follow you into the next room, let's just say. Okay. This is basically the information that you are gathering. Okay. You're gathering exactly who your person is, how they live, where they hang out, so that when you put messaging out there, you're targeting something that they would understand. They understand your language. Okay. So, we talked about when you target everyone, you actually target no one. It's just like Nacole is really explaining, right? And I just want to make sure that this is so practical that you understand what's the whole purpose of going through all of this again, because I just want to, serve first time home buyers, and I really just want to, close this many deals, right? But like if you're putting something out there that appeals to no specific situation, you're not really going to get a lot of calls on any of your posts. You're going to just, get a little frustrated that you post something every week, but I don't really get anyone to call me as a result. That's because you're not targeting a specific person, a specific demographic. You're not talking about their specific situation, and you're not talking about a specific thought or a problem or something that they can relate to that would make them want to, respond back. So if you want to target single moms who can find their first home, that is something so specific, right? Like, are you a single mom and do you dream of owning your first home and raising your child, in a beautiful community that will, be like a village for you, and like the schools are great so that you can feel comfortable taking your kid to school every day, whatever that looks like. Someone who is a single mom who wants to get out of her apartment or out of the neighborhood that she's in, or move out of mom and dad's house or wherever she's at, I don't know, right? Will come forth and say, yeah, that's me. That is very specific to me. So that's just the only reason and purpose. And I just want to make it very practical as to why is this information even important, so that you can see what it looks like when you're applying it to, say, your social media messaging. Okay. Or, things like that, because you want to appeal to that specific person. And what Nacole is saying is that, in order to get clarity, you don't want to go to the wrong places looking for your right person.
And
you
also,
know?
when you are writing your profile for all of your different areas, your profile will state who your ideal avatar is, right? In that profile, you're going to say that, I have a passion for single moms, or I have a passion for, healthcare professionals, or I have a passion for teachers. And you're going to specifically target them indirectly, of course, but they will see that that's not just some ad that you put out, that it's truly your purpose and your passion.
100%.
So here, after you list the places that your 3 to 5 places that they hang out, you're going to go hang out those places, right? That's going to be where you're going to hang out. So instead of going to Rita's for margaritas, you're going to go to you're going to go and specifically go and hang out at that coffee shop, go to hang out at that country club, go to that charity event. Now here your avatars of values is going to come in next. Values are extremely important. Okay, what people value is what they believe, is what they will spend their time with, who they trust, how they perform their life, like how they live their life is based on people's specific values. So you want to identify 5 values of your ideal avatar. So, like teachers value education, they value parent involvement, they value programs that help kids that are in homes that are not healthy, if they are domestic violence or if it's just that they don't have the things that they need, right? Teachers support programs for like your school lunches and after school food and things like that because they see things that you and I may not see on a regular basis. They value people who donate or have charity events that help students to go to college or to go to summer camps or go to these things. So, what is it that your ideal avatar values that they specifically have as a core belief in themselves?
Ooh, that's a great question. And I think this would be a good time for us to be kind of interactive, right? So I side business, right? I have a hospitality business. This is my investment business. And what I do is I provide crash pads, right? Like midterm rentals for airplane crew, like flight attendants and pilots. Okay, so it's very, very specific. But like, I don't want to attract people that don't value quiet, peace, respect, and cleanliness. Okay. A lot of flight attendants are actually very young. And, it's like they're getting their first taste of freedom. It's kind of like your college student that, they leave home for the first time and they go absolutely bananas, like, woohoo, freedom. And they end up being kind of a train wreck sometimes, not everyone. I'm not saying that, but, sometimes they get into this party lifestyle and they're a little bit dramatic. They're very messy. They don't clean up after themselves. They're not totally mature yet. You know what I mean? And they're a little bit drama queens, right? So I'm specifically targeting people who value, and I am asking that in my messaging when I am sending and posting things, right, in the places that they hang out on the Facebook groups. So I'm asking questions like, do you value cleanliness? Do you value living in peace, with with other roommates that you can grow to, respect and build lasting friendships with, right? Do you value being in drama-free environments? Okay. And I let them know in my messaging as well. If you're looking for the party vibe or the party house, this is not going to be your vibe, right? So just like Trina said, I know who I am, I know who I'm not. Well, in messaging, I'm specifically targeting people who would value and respond and understand the language of peace and respect and, cleanliness, right? Someone who values the fact that they are moving away from drama. And as a result of doing that, I pretty much have a household of flight attendants and pilots that all really get along well together. And I'm not saying that it's totally perfect, but for the most part, we have a culture that, is very respectable. Everyone ends up having, lasting relationships together. And for the most part, everyone maintains the properties that I have very well. So that's just an example practically of what that looks like in real time when you're talking about your ideal avatar's values, right? So, Heather, who
Yes.
would be your ideal avatar, right? Like, kind of explain who they are, where do they hang out, what's their current lifestyle, and what are some things that they value?
That's a good question. Um, so I think mine would be someone who has the same values as me. Someone who um I have an educator back I'm taught for 20 almost 20 years. I I'm kind of and this is what I'm trying to find. So that it's a great question, but it's one that I can't specifically answer because the educator in me, I like working with first time home buyers because you educate them through the whole process, right? That's rewarding. So, but then on the other hand, I also like working with um, clients who can afford um, a five, 600, $700,000 home. Um, because to me, it just depends. So it's a good question, and I'm listening to you guys, and I'm trying to figure out because I feel like I have been all over the board. I haven't worked with. I've either worked with first time home buyers or I've worked with those type of clients. So I wouldn't say it's all over the board, but both bring me joy. So
Mm-hmm.
finding that one targeted area, I guess my niche, I have to say I wouldn't turn down working with the first time home buyer because you know my niche is upper middle class, someone who's
Perfect.
had a couple of homes, someone who's honestly I would help anyone that wanted to buy a home or sell a home. So it's I totally understand just targeting one area. Even with my social media, you were talking about vets. I took it upon myself to learn all because I love home loans. I love the benefits that they bring to a veteran. And I've helped several clients, purchase homes that, and use the VA benefits. I did a video on that. I learned because I experienced it and I knew about it, but that's not who I'm targeting. So I, I'm going to have to really think about that. And I hope that answered your question because it was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
so
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
So then this guide is going to be really good for you, right? Like it's going to be great for you to kind of sit down and spend some time, you know, understanding for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more that you understand who your client is, who your avatar is, easier it's going to be to attract them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just understand, like, if we're going to move towards something, the more we understand them, the more we can put things out there that is in their language, that outlines things, like even if you just put a picture of a kid and a dog on a really nice living room. You know what I mean? Like someone who has a family, right? With like, say, a kid and a dog or a kid and an animal, right? Who is in the price point of, whatever the background looks like that looks like their home.
Right.
Okay. Or that looks like, the home that they're wanting to move into. You're going to attract that person with that type of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So, spending time really getting to know who you're talking to. It's just like when you date someone,
Yeah.
right, Nacole? You're shaking your head. I mean, it's like you can't continue forward unless you spend time getting to know each other, to
Mm-hmm.
know, what do you like to do? How can I bring you things of value in life that you would just make you light up and smile? Because I took the time to understand that this is important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is what we're doing. We're getting to know, we're speed dating, right? And we're getting to know the person that we want to date. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, values, and then what else, Nacole? You have non-negotiables and you have deal breakers.
Yes. So after you go through your avatar's values, you're going to go then into the non-negotiables. There's only three on here. If you have more, you can go ahead and add it, but I try to stick to three because non-negotiables are the things that they must have something or must not have something. So if you live in Austin and you're targeting the tech guy or girl, they have a dog. Like they just have a dog. That's Austin. It is extremely dog friendly, and a lot of people are single and have a dog. That is Austin. They've got couples that are engaged, married, they have a dog. So, what is the thing that they absolutely have or don't have? So, here I gave the example that they are a homeowner or a previous homeowner. If you're not targeting first time home buyers, then they must have already had experience buying a home. Why do I say previous homeowner? Because they could have sold their home and been renting, or sold their home and they're moving to Texas or whatever it may be. So here is your non-negotiables. Like if you talk on the phone with somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'm a first-time home buyer." And you're like, "I don't service first-time home buyers." Obviously, you're not going to say that, but that would be a person that does not fit this criteria. Okay. Now, I understand, Heather, where you're going with that. Can you service people outside of this ideal avatar? Absolutely. No problemo servicing them. So if your friend comes to you and they're a first-time home buyer and you want to service them, or if they're a VA loan, or if they've got a VA friend or whatever, absolutely you can service them. The question is not if you can service them. The question is, who are you targeting? Who are you spending your time, energy, money targeting?
Mm.
Here is your target market. right? So if I am targeting people who are downselling or people who are going into a higher luxury market, they must have already been a homeowner. Now, other non-negotiables, let's say, for instance, if you're going to target veterans, they must be qualified for a veterans loan. Okay, not all veterans qualify for a VA loan. Some of them don't have enough hours. They were in the reserve, but they didn't have enough hours active, or the excessive amount of hours they have to have in the reserve in lieu of. There's several things like that. Okay.
I
So
would
with
say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you. Just because I know you were getting ready to move off, so I'm sorry for like interrupting. But I would say with VA clients, like when they come to you or when you interact with them, like they're looking for a home, they already know that they're going to qualify. You know what I mean? Like they, they already know that they're either going to qualify or they already know I'm eligible for some benefits.
you would be surprised the number of people who don't know.
Well, I would say that's been my experience. I did have one who didn't know. Um, he was like 70 something years old, and he and his girlfriend were looking for a home to rent. When I found out he was a veteran, I was like, do you know about, that there are benefits for you if you're buying a house? And she was like, well, I heard about that. So, I
There's
mean,
not
and
a lot of programs out there that educate veterans. That's a
yeah.
big thing. Eileen here on this group, and yeah, she's still here. She's a veteran and she can specifically relate to there's not programs out there that will tell you about all your benefits, right? You can find people on YouTube and maybe organizations that you can go to, but for the most part, they do not get educated on what their benefits are. So I've had numerous agents who have come to me and they go, hey, so we're getting my client approved for a VA loan, and the lender says that they can't get the eligibility certificate because they don't have enough hours. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, a lot of people do not know. And of course, a lot of people do know, but not everyone knows. So with that being said, you want to make sure that the non-negotiables is that they qualify. Like now, of course, if one of your educational videos is going to be specifically on, do you qualify for a VA loan? You can put that education out there, being an educator yourself, and have that video on your YouTube channel or on your Facebook or whatnot that talks about, well, how do you find out if you qualify? What is an eligibility certificate? How do you, apply for it, or where do you get it? What will qualify for a VA loan? Do you have 180 hours or whatever it is that, qualifies for that type of loan? And that way you don't get people coming to you that think they qualify that don't qualify, right? You've got people who have benefits that, and I'm not a VA expert at all, but a lot of people out there have benefits in every aspect, even teachers, right? They don't know what all their benefits are as far as down payment assistance. Teachers have a specific program that is for teachers, firefighters, police officers, any type of public servant like that. And there are specific programs that you can advertise that are for niches. So if you're in non-negotiable, let's say that I had another one that was they're going to target single moms that are going to buy their first home. Well, they had to have not owned a home while being a single mom, and they have to have a kid to be a single mom. Pretty sure I don't qualify just because I have a four-legged child. Okay, unfortunately, darn it. But so those are the non-negotiables that you're looking for, is to really identify the things that like they must have when you're doing that area. Now, as far as the deal breakers, it could be anything. Like example here is like good credit. So if I'm targeting first-time home buyers that need to qualify for a down payment assistance loan or 100% financing loan, a lot of those loans have higher credit needs. So you're looking at one of the 100% financing loans that I advertise is has to have a 660 credit score. That's a pretty, I mean, for a first-time home buyer, that's not a typical credit score in all areas. Maybe in some areas, but the national average credit score for a first-time home buyer is less than 660. So where are you going to look for people who have good credit? So for instance, Border Patrol, a lot of them are first-time home buyers because a lot of them are single for a long time. And they don't buy until they are engaged or married or girlfriend or something like that. And they must have good credit. Like it's a requirement from the Border Patrol to have good credit. So things like that is going to be part of these non-negotiables, and then your deal breakers. Now, your deal breakers is that I will not work with someone who needs credit repair, or I will not work with someone who is moving from somewhere else but doesn't want to buy, they just want to rent first. Or I will not work with someone who is a first-time home buyer if I'm looking in the luxury market, right? Why do I say that? Because most people are not going to buy a $1 million house as their first house or at 1.5 or whatnot. So those are going to be your deal breakers. And if that is the case, like those are the people you do not work with. Now, everybody has their own passions and their own purposes. So I don't want to taint anything. The good credit example is because what you're putting in your deal breakers are time wasters. Okay. So if they don't have a kid and you're searching for single moms to sell them homes, then they're going to just waste your time in the aspects of they don't fit that program. Okay. If they don't have good credit and you're advertising a program that requires good credit, you're going to get a lot of calls from people who can't qualify. If you are, advertising a luxury home and instead of putting it in, a targeted Google ad, you're putting it on Craigslist, you're going to get a lot of tire kickers. So what are the things that are going to waste your time in conversations for incoming calls, incoming leads, incoming referrals? If I was working with first-time home buyers, I probably would not want to work with cash investors that are looking to buy things at 50% or 70% of the value. Because they're gonna be time wasters. They're gonna spend a lot of my time looking for stuff that I'm not an expert at. Then you've got, after you identify truly who your person is and also who they're not, you've got your 3 uniques. This is where you really dig into more of their lifestyle. So here I have an agent who her kids were in football. And I said, it's real easy to meet people. Your kids are in football. I would love to have a kid in football right now. Like I could go meet so many people. So all you have to do is target people who are sports moms, right? Because there's a lot of sports moms out there. And we had a whole plan for her to put together the landing page that specifically targeted an ISD. So the ISD that she was in was a very large ISD. And to target that ISD, put a picture of the football team as the picture. And to talk about, you know, the North Alamo sports moms. It's so simple, right? Like you've got tons of people, you've got tons of sports moms. Everyone in sports probably has, well, most of them have more than one kid. So most of them are going to want to buy a bigger house eventually. And so with that being said, you or downsize for that fact because their kids are graduating. But if you're targeting something's very unique about that person. That would be, you know, that they're a business owner, that they are a doctor, that they are in the healthcare industry, that they live in a specific subdivision. If you have, you know, a target market that's a very large area, it's a high turnover subdivision, and you want to be the listing agent in that subdivision, then you can target that area and be the expert in that subdivision and take it over, literally. So that's where you come out with those uniques. The uniques are going to set your person apart and be able to specifically talk to them, like Cynthia was saying, for you to be able to really relate and connect right away online without you having to be on the phone with them for 20 to 30 minutes to relate to them. They're just reading, looking at your pictures, looking at your post, getting an idea of your profile bio, whatever it is that's already specifically written to relate to them with their uniques. Now, as far as your next two sections, your value proposition and guarantee, you and I both know that when you start a business, those are the most difficult questions to answer because you're talking about yourself. And most of us don't know how to talk about ourselves very well, right? It's just
I'm so no.
I can talk about Cynthia great. She can talk about me like, wow. And I just introduced myself. Hi, I'm Nacole. Yeah, I'm a real estate agent. Yep, cool. And she's like, no, she's the best real estate agent ever. And like, she does this and she does that. And she's an FPC. And oh my gosh, she advocates for this. And I'm like, okay, cool. I cannot talk about myself. Like, it's not something I was born to do. So a lot of us have a problem with our value proposition because it comes from within us. And also it comes with differentiating ourselves from our competition. And it's hard to do that when you're new to a business. How do you know what the other competition is doing? I don't know what they're promising you. So how am I supposed to be different than their promise?
Let me just add that that will come from knowing your avatar.
Mm.
Okay. You're solving a problem that they have. That comes from meeting a value that they have, right? Like, let's just say you can get them the lowest, you can get all their closing costs paid for, and you can get them, um, I don't know, like a free car at the end of the thing, right? But if they don't value that, don't push that. Like they don't care about that. That was a very individual case by case, kind of scenario that I put out there. But the thing is when you know your avatar, you can give them something that they can relate to. They're like, oh, I can appreciate that. And it comes from being authentic, right? Like Heather, you said you want to attract people like you. Well, what kind of things would you actually value and think are, really cool? Like if someone promised you this, or not promise, but guaranteed that you would have this at the end of, or throughout the experience. Because like that is something that you hold on to that you're like, I want that. I want that throughout my experience with them, or I want that when it's all said and done. Like that's what I want for myself and for my life. Those are the kind of value propositions and guarantees that you should look into adopting, because you know your avatar so well, you know what they would appreciate. Like if your first time home buyers have no money because like, you're specifically targeting like, this area where, like, these folks don't really have a whole lot of money sometimes. But like if you can specifically say, hey, I can get you into your first home with just your down payment and have everything else covered for you, or whatever, whatever is legal to say, I don't know. Like someone who has very little cash but has a desire to own their own home in this particular neighborhood, or like, do you want to be in this neighborhood? Do you want your kid to go to this school or whatever? I don't know. Maybe I'm totally violating fair housing right now. But I'm just saying, like, is this what you want? Right? Very specific situation for your people, right? I can guarantee that this will happen because I know you can appreciate it. Don't make this about you. This is about them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I hope that we're learning something totally different today, because this is a different way of going about your marketing and a different way of serving humanity, right? Like it's a different way of serving your clientele. And it's being very specific about who they are, what they value, what they want, and what they want to receive, what they find is cool. So the less stuffy, professional, boring that you can make yourself, and the more relatable, like if I were to talk to my single moms and be like, moms, any single moms out there, can you relate to your child tagging and pulling on you every 5 minutes when you're trying to get things done, right? I mean, just things that you could totally relate to in their world are the things that we're talking about leading with. The professional stuffy is going to get scrolled over, glazed over, scrolled past, not watched. But the more personal and real time that you can make, your connection, what is it like living in that subdivision? Right? Well, here's what the lifestyle is in this subdivision. And oh, by the way, I would know because I live here too. Oh, okay, she really gets it. She understands me.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, and she can get us, like this, and this, and that, and make our transition out of here. That's honestly, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that kind of guarantee because I resonate with that. That's what I want. I will call you because that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
This is how your marketing is going to be so different. So take the time to do this. Like, really, I know some of us have not even, you're like, look, I get it. I never do that either. Like, I think that's a little too extreme, right? You got to be a little extreme if you want to be effective. You know what I mean? Like if you want your phone to ring, do this. If you want to put things out there and be your own cheerleader, then, maybe do other things. But if you really want your phone to ring, this is where it's at. And I didn't mean that in a condescending, rude way. I really didn't. But I'm just saying, this is the kind of stuff that it takes in order to be effective. You got to be specific.
Mm-hmm.
So here the example was for listings. So basically, if you are not interested in listings, this is not going to relate to you. But for instance, a value proposition that I used for many years is that I sell homes at 7 to 49% over value in less than 30 days. That was my thing. That's where a lot of people struggled with their homes sitting on the market and not selling or getting lowball offers. So that was where I stepped in, was different in my market at that time. My guarantee is that if you're not happy with my service at any time, you can cancel our agreement at any time with no cost. And I say that to people during my listing presentation. Now, of course, I may not say this is my guarantee, but I do mention that is something that if you're not happy, if you don't like me tomorrow, you can cancel, and you are canceling at no cost whatsoever. Okay, so that way it alleviates that pressure from them. Now, your value proposition and guarantee, like Cynthia said, is going to be very intentional and very specific to your audience. So if you're targeting first-time home buyers, you're gonna want to put something in like, hey, want to buy a house for less than 2,000, learn how, kind of stuff. And that could be your guarantee that, you can get them into a home for whatever it may be, right? Now, if your value proposition is that you service first-time home buyers, or you equipped, or you help to achieve the American dream, or you help to, I get first-time moms into homes to have a safe, secure place for your child to grow up. Whatever your value proposition is that Cynthia mentioned, speak specifically to your person. Now, the last thing on this worksheet is going to be what makes the difference of your service. So, what is the experience of your service, and how is that different? So a lot of agents in my area they just kind of like put the house on MLS and hope it sells. They don't really communicate with the seller very much. They don't give updates. They don't do a lot of marketing. They just put it there, right? So with that being said, I could then turn around and say, well, what makes my business different and the experience that you're going to have, right? So how is that experience of that person? So, if it's first-time home buyers, have you been promised that you could buy a house and then couldn't qualify, or your realtor didn't, help you, or you felt all alone, or it was overwhelming? A lot of first-time home buyers feel very overwhelmed and undereducated. So, do you know what programs you qualify for? Has anyone ever told you that you could buy at zero down? And then if you're looking at, single moms, the same thing. Like, did you know that, single moms empower their kids by buying homes, and it's actually possible to do that with only $5,000 or whatever it is? You can empower them to create the experience in their mind. Have them imagine that experience. So here, it says for the example, I ask each prospect 2 questions. Number 1 is I always ask them, how can I earn your business? Because I want to make sure that these people who have had poor experiences before know that that's not the experience they're going to receive from me. So I always ask them that question and don't assume business, because a lot of agents try to assume business and then push themselves on them. So if they're buyers from Zillow, especially, like that's a big one, because agents just, start bombarding them. If they are people who are, presenting for a listing presentation, there's multiple agents competing for that listing. So then there's another one here. And my second question is, what are you looking for in a realtor so I can provide you a 5-star experience? Some people want communication. Some people want promptness. Some people just want education, someone to hold their hand. Some people want, it varies, right? Very professional. I've had, like I've had attorneys that I've had where they're like, oh no, I would never hire anyone who doesn't dress or look like I do, right? They want that house to be represented by someone who is very professional, sharp, and dressed well. So with that being said, it just depends on what they tell you as to how you can create that different service or different experience for them. Now, if you know your demographic very, very well, you're going to already know what most of those people are experiencing. So you can go ahead and say, what makes my service different? Or you can target their pain. Is your house sitting on the market and hasn't sold yet, and it's been 129 days, and your agent doesn't really give you much feedback? Well, you didn't list the house to show people your pretty, beautiful house, did you? No, you listed to sell it. So go ahead and give me a call where then we can get that home sold for you. Our guarantee here is we sell over market value in only 30 days or less.
What?
So that's where you can then identify what makes your service different or your experience of your service different. Now, this right here has already been uploaded into Kartra. I did see that I Googled it and to see if the view only you could print. Supposedly you can, but I guess we can try to see that because this is also view only in Kartra. So we'll see how that goes. But basically use this as if it's not view only, copy it, put a new name to it so that it's in your drive and you're not editing the version. But here you're going to have a breakdown of what you can do to be able to make sure all your marketing stays intact and in line. You want to keep this in your file. When you're looking at, different opportunities, if you're saying, what do I need to do today? Where can I go meet new clients? Where can I prospect? You want to come back to this sheet and you want to say, okay, great. Well, I said that my people hang out in these 3 to 5 places and I need to work, but I don't feel like working from my house today. Let me go sit at the country club bar. Let me go have lunch at the country club and then continue working there afterwards. Let me, whatever it is that you need to do so that you can keep yourself on the same track because you want to become a regular there. You want to have the waitress, the restaurant manager, the bartender, the golf instructor, the whoever it is, you want to have them be like, hey, Nacole, how are you today? Because when other people see that, they're going to be like, who's Nacole? So you want to become a regular. Soon that golf instructor is going to be referring you clients. Like, oh, hey, I think that, the Perrys are looking to sell their home. You should definitely talk to them. Whatever it is, that's how you start to become a regular in a community where you are trusted, liked, and referred.